Hello, hello. Welcome to the DCMP recap video edit breakdown. So I was kind of like scripting this and making, sort of preparing for production, and I guess I just kind of realized that it just wasn't going to work in terms of how long it takes to actually fully script, plan, shoot, and then edit one of these videos. So I figured it would actually be like 20 times easier since we've already sort of talked about the way that we do pre-production and the way we plan our recaps. And I figured since we're actually just talking straight up technical editing stuff, I might as well just hop into Premiere and record just a voiceover of me going through the timeline with you guys and actually sort of explaining the way that I compose a lot of these edits. So the rest of these actual videos are probably going to be recorded in just on my computer screen recording with this. I'm going to try to break it down in as much detail as I can, so these videos are going to get pretty long. I expect these to be like 20-30 minutes long sometimes, and they're largely going to be uncut, so we'll see how it goes. This is my first sort of experiment with a video that looks like this, but here we go, I guess. So this is the timeline for the DCMP recap. It looks fairly simple. I don't really split my footage between that many layers. I just kind of like block it on top of itself. But when it comes to like graphics and stuff, a lot of these, as you can see, will end up sort of layering up on top. But the most, I wouldn't necessarily say complex, but it's definitely the part that takes the longest to compose, was this little intro section, and here's what that looks like if you haven't seen the video. So this little section right here has a lot of fast cuts, and all of them need to be, comprehensible in a way. So this actual sequence was directly pulled from our technical demo section of our reveal event. And that obviously isn't on YouTube. We didn't stream that this year. We will try to next year, but that's something that I need to work out later. But I can play that reel for you in the video right now.
In this Gothic underground city, we all sin. If I bring a couple rounds with me, then we all win. I came back and brought the crown with me. The kings can't break your nexus and your neck, cause everybody's on your head.
Just like kick your butt, go run them up, then paint my nails. Never learned to raise my hand, was too busy raising hell. Everything I know I am, you should go and save yourself. Thought you had my number, huh?
So as you can see, it's basically the same reel, but we cut it down a little bit, and obviously I made a few small changes. But largely, this section is just ripped straight from that video, and so this edit actually pretty much happened like 2 months before we actually were doing the DCMP recap. Like at the end of the day, the process was still largely the same. So what you need to do when it comes to these fast cuts right here is you need to make sure that you either give the camera a good reason to change directions, or make sure the camera is largely staying in the same direction. So you can see here, so this camera is pulling back here, and then here it shifts to sort of sliding sideways, and here is where the cuts get really fast, and that is also where I try to keep the camera moving in the same direction as possible, or in the same direction as much as possible. So you see here that slides towards the right, and then on the next cut, it's spinning, and then it continues to spin towards the right in these two really, really fast cuts right here. That keeps the continuity going as much as we possibly can. And so these two fast cuts won't feel as jarring if, as you can see, they're both spinning sort of clockwise. And then here it ends up reversing, and I'm pretty sure this was because I tried reversing this clip, and I was like, it just doesn't look good with the clip reverse. So I just kind of had to flip the direction on this clip. I don't like it. It's not great, but it is what it is. I only had a couple of hours to get all this footage with the robot before I needed to give it up, because obviously this was still before our first competition. A lot of stuff needs to happen. They were still making changes. So my footage was not great, but we make it work. And so then this cut right here, this is a warp stabilized slow motion, just sort of push. And then it sort of cuts into more sliding towards the right. And then this is nearly the same clip. I'm pretty sure this is just this clip from the beginning, but later into the clip. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the point of this was that I was supposed to splice it in multiple places. I'm pretty sure there's another clip of it somewhere, maybe not. But anyways, so this continues. So we see it pulling back, and then it cuts to another clip of the camera pulling back. And then here is sort of like this shot of like the ball going up through the system. Yes, I realize that these two are out of order in the sense that this is indexer and then this is intake. But the camera was just moving in the wrong direction because this is like pulling back, right? And then here it's pushing forward. And the reason why is because this is one continuous shot from the reveal video where the camera pulled back and then the ball rolled into flame. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't talk. This was one continuous shot in the reveal video where the camera pulled back and then the ball rolled into the frame and then the camera switches directions, and you know, it was like one continuous shot in the reveal video, but I didn't have time obviously to put that entire thing in here. So it's split up into two parts with this one sort of bridging clip in the middle. And then another slightly faster cut. Again, this is movement towards the right, sort of spinning around this back of the shooter. And then this is a different clip of where we spin in the same direction around the back of the shooter, and you can see it sort of deploying here. Sad we never actually had an adjustable shooter, but it is what it is. And then here is just a couple of basic B-roll clips. These were just kind of cobbled together toward the end because if you actually play the video, the clips are, you know, there's a lot of time for them to sort of play out, and so it's okay if they don't fully line up. And then there's just a nice little slide transition, and then this is just a shot that was made in After Effects where I set a tracking point. I believe it was like this little blue thing up here on the shooter, and I basically just tracked the Kronos logo to it so that way it would move with the camera sort of. Nothing too crazy there. And then this is where the actual recap footage starts. As you can see, we just have the 2976 animated logo. Again, we will cover a lot of that in their own video. Although this animated logo I may not eventually cover because some changes are coming in year 15 and I'm not entirely sure if we really need to cover this. But anyways, so this is where the recap portion of it actually starts. We open with a little bit of B-roll, some slide transitions to sort of bridge gaps between clips that I felt were, you know, it was reasonable. The reason why for this one is because this clip is largely the camera pulling back, and the next one is also the camera pulling back on a different part of the robot. So pulling that zoom transition in there just sort of helps bridge it a little bit, and it makes it a little bit more fluid. The rest of this is largely hard cuts of just random B-roll, and then when the lyrics come in, that's where we start showing game footage. It's just hard cuts throughout most of this. And so what I tend to do when I'm doing these game footage parts is I will just cut to the beat. That is the biggest thing on our in our reveal videos, or sorry, not reveal, recap videos, is you cut to the beat. Make sure all of your clips are cutting on some kind of beat and try not to cut on off beats as much as possible. And by off beats, I mean it can still be like technically like quote unquote in time. If you are a music player, you'll probably understand what I mean, but it can be in time, but still not a good place to cut. So try to cut, you know, every 4 beats, every 8 beats, every 16, you know, stuff like that. That's going to make it feel like it has some sort of rhythm to it. And what I'll do, especially with Rapid React, with how quick these shots are, right? You just have a shot of, you know, the robot fires 2 balls, they both go in, you cut to the next shot of it firing 2 more balls, they go in, and you cut to the next one, right? So it's largely when I'm doing these like big filler sections, you can see here there's like 8 clips in a row of like literally all the same length, and it's just shots of Kronos shooting the balls, or sometimes it's shooting one, sometimes it's just moving, but either ways they're all sort of the same length, and we cut on the beat. And so what I'll do is, you can see I have all of the footage here, and sometimes I organize it. In this case, I was rushing to get it produced, so I didn't really organize it that crazy. Premiere is not loading these thumbnails very well, but it'll figure it out eventually. Anyways, what I'll do is I'll select one of these clips. So all of my game footage clips are usually like 2 minutes and 40 seconds long. So you see here, we have this clip. I'll take it, I'll drag it into the timeline. What I'll do is I'll literally just scrub through, and every time I see, you know, a good shot, like right here, right, we have, you know, the robot shoots 2 balls, they both go in. What I'll do is I'll just cut it right where I want it to start. I'll cut it, and then I will let it play out until the next good place in the song. So I'll actually listen to the song and then pause the video where there's a good place to end the clip, and then I'll just end it and then continue moving through that game footage clip. And so that's how a lot of these sequences are made here. This is just a little B-roll intervention in the middle here. That's just because I felt like the 4 stronger kick drum hits sort of warranted a little bit of a more special sequence there. Here's a transition. I'm pretty sure this is because when I was like moving, yeah, the camera was like coming in at like a weird speed, and I was like, I'm just gonna mask it with a sideways slide transition, because I was like, the shot is good, but the camera's moving in a really weird way, and I didn't exactly want it to just like do a hard cut. So that's what I ended up doing here. This section, so this is where we go into climb. I generally don't showcase climb that much. Like in the other recaps, we like show them, but it's like we don't really have a whole section dedicated to climb like in this video. The reason why we did it here is because if you listen to the actual song,
Hold still, boy, like back then. Talk back till I snap back. This ain't.
It's like you can hear the beats, but it's like not. Either you have to cut on every single beat, like the click, 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 click. You either have to cut on every single one, or you just like wait out the entire like 32 beats or whatever it is, right? So we were like, okay, what kind of a clip is long enough for us to show during a sequence like that? And I was like, well, I might as well just do climb here, because every single climb sequence that we have here is, you know, a few seconds long. And so that's what we ended up doing. We just have a couple of transitions here. I believe most of them are slide transitions. So yeah, we kind of like go like to the left and then back to the right and then to the left again. This is just a B-roll shot, and then this is again just a B-roll shot. We only have 2 good climb clips from DCMP. Unfortunately, we just didn't climb that often at DCMP. I felt like a lot of the time there were, you know, traversal climb robots, and we were going for double traversal, or, you know, just a traversal and a mid. So a lot of the time we were out there scoring until T0. So I only had like 2 good climb clips to show, and I didn't really feel like pulling footage from other competitions. And so that's kind of what I have for this sequence. And here's what that looks like.
Hold still, boy, like back then. Talk back till I snap back. This ain't brown, this that dark black. This that pitch black, jet black. Snap your ex, watch me give them flashbacks.
Pressure's rising fast as lightning, they can't stop it now. If you ain't talking realness, then just change the topic now. They laughing at the top like they can't see the bottom. And they thought I needed help, but I got hit without them. I am sharp.
So again, here we sort of swap over to hard cuts, and then we just sort of show longer clips of just things happening at the competition. This one B-roll shot, I really don't like this shot. Some people were telling me that it looks cool because of this, like, you know, new perspective that we get on the robot. This is like a shot that we have never recreated in a different recap, and in my opinion, I don't think it's that great of a shot, but it gets the job done, and it filled in time, right? When it comes to these recap videos, for us at least, speed of production is sort of what takes precedence over a lot of things. Because this year, at least, we had a week 4 district event, a week 5 district event, and then week 6 was DCMP, and then we get a 1-week break, and you're off to Worlds, right? So between our first 3 competitions, we had like a few days before I was back out on the field recording, right? Saturday and Sunday, obviously, are blocked off. I can't edit on those days. I can, you know, maybe get a little bit of time in, but like, competitions are draining. You probably already know. It's insane. Nobody wants to sit there and edit after a long day of doing whatever you do at competitions, whether it be build or software or you're just in the stands. Even that is pretty exhausting. And so basically, production speed was of the essence here. And so a lot of the time it was just, okay, I need to fill space. What can I throw in here that looks good enough for me to fill the space? And so this shot just kind of ended up in there. When I filmed this shot, I was like, this is never making it in the video, but it ended up doing it anyways. Here, again, it's just more game footage to fill the time. And then here is more B-roll to fill the time. This flag wave, in my opinion, is like one of the coolest ones that we've seen in a while. I don't think many of these, I don't know what you call them, like the people who are out there introducing, I guess you could call them game announcers in a way. Not many of them like spin the flag, and that was really cool. Yeah, we didn't have a flag spin at Worlds, unfortunately. They banned flags at Worlds because they needed to move fast. So we only got, I think they did it at DCMP too. There just wasn't many good opportunities for flag shots. But anyways, so this shot kind of makes it in here to fill in a little bit of time, and then we go to alliance selection, and this sequence kind of looks like this.
Team 2976 would like to graciously invite Team 2046 to our alliance.
So there's a little bit of audio mixing that needs to happen here. Obviously, the music needs to dip down. So this goes from 0, which is actually on the louder side when it comes to videos. Usually I actually have to turn it down. So a lot of the time our soundtracks are mastered at -6 or -12 usually. But this dips down to -24 here. While our scout lead Felix is talking, and then when the crowd cheers, I actually do also have to lower the gain on this clip, so this actually ends up going down to -24. So between these two clips right here, both of these are set to -24. I don't bring the music back up until the clip is actually over, and the reason why is I don't want to blow out your ears, but anyways, so that's sort of like the audio mixing that needs to happen there. We don't have our second pick because I'm pretty sure my camera died after like the first round picks were done, so I just didn't record the second pick. And so that's the reason why this segment here with Alliance 2 and all of our team numbers is so long. Normally it wouldn't be that long because obviously we have all of the other the second pick footage, which would normally take up like probably up to here. But it kind of worked out in our favor because there were like sort of like 4 clear stanzas of this like rap section, and so we were able to go Alliance 2, 2976, 2046, 488, and then you kind of transition out into game footage. This section I actually really liked because once it goes back out into like the song, it's like this like really hype like anthem, and then we can sort of show like one of our most impressive auto clips as well here, which you'll see like sort of like the same theme returning in the Houston recap, right? Where we have our auto clips. Now we don't officially call this like auto because 2046 is running their 5-ball auto instead of us. So like showcasing quote unquote auto with us in the back over there running our 2-ball auto would be a little bit sad. So DCMP doesn't officially have that auto tag, but this is your auto clip that we always have to include. But that whole sequence kind of looks like this.
I get that magic all on me, I feel like I'm chasing my grave. Enemy circle around me 360, I count them with 8. I've been equipped with the spirit beside me since I was a baby, just getting chaotic. I made me a product for causing the chaos. Where you in this gothic underground city, we all sin. If I bring a couple rounds with me, then we all win. I came back and brought the crown with me, the king's king. Break your nexus and your neck, cause everybody's on your head.
Anyways, but that's like sort of this like whole alliance selection part, and this unfortunately came so late in the song because this section like is the only I was like listening through it and I was like, this is the only real section that we can talk about like playoff alliances. So we only really get to show the auto clip and then one more game footage clip, and then we have to just go to results. It's not optimal, but it kind of works because our playoff clips this time around were not amazing. But also I kind of wanted to talk here it is. But like, dude, First Washington, they have like crazy DCMP production. So you can see like up here they have like a truss, and they have like all of these like motorized like lights. They're all on like 3-axis gimbals or something crazy like that. And what they do is when match scores come out, you can see on the screens in the back there red alliances coming out right here, right? And all of the lights will change color, and so it makes for really cool B-roll. You literally don't have to do it. You literally just like you can point the camera at the field and you don't have to move it at all, and you still get a crazy cool shot. So DCMP I think was like my favorite competition to shoot at by far, just because of how cool the field lighting was. Especially also the field lighting is like a neutral white. like if you look at the Auburn recap, at the Bonnie Lake recap, because you're shooting just like in like a high school gym, right? A lot of the time the lights are going to be very yellowed, or it's just going to be like this weird shade of like fluorescent, right? It is horrible. It makes your colors look so bad, but at DCMP it's so nice because they have like this crazy lighting rig, and especially like also they have like the upwards pointing lights on all of the trusses that are all purple. It's like the whole set is just so great. But anyways, and then again, I just don't have that much time at the end of this song to talk about, you know, our results. So it's very simple. We have our standard shot. So every time we win an award, when we walk up to claim our awards, right? What I'll do is I'll walk at the front of the line, and then right at the end, I'll walk past the gate and turn around. They get so confused every time I do it. But if you just like give them a look and you're just like, trust me, I know what I'm doing, they usually won't care, especially if you're holding a camera. And then you start pointing it at the team and they're like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. So do not be afraid to try this. Literally, all you have to do, convince your team to let you walk at the front of the line. That's the first thing you need to do. If your team wants to fight you for the front line spot, unfortunately, it's just not going to work. But if you walk at the front of the line, what you need to do is you need to go past the gate, and then you just turn around and you just film everybody else walking into the gate. You will be the last one on the field for the picture, so you might end up like in the side or just like not in the picture at all. But like, I think it's worth for the footage. Anyways, so we have this footage, and then it's just finalist, autonomous award, and then it just goes into our standard, like we show a couple of photos at the end of, you know, every event. And because the song sort of like changes vibes here as well, so if you listen to it, it switches to like this like, you know, droning dynasties and dystopia, right? So I figured this would be a good time to show a couple of photos. And then obviously we have to do the team photo at the end always. And then my little watermark, and then it's just the Jenny DCMP, or the, what do I call it, competition logo, I guess. We have one for every competition we go to, and then it sort of moves into our outro. So that's like basically it. That's the end of the timeline. It, again, outside of the Houston recap, many of our videos are like fairly linear in terms of literally just throw a bunch of stuff on the timeline and cut it to the beat. That's largely what we do. I think a lot of the way that our recaps just work is with footage collection, the way that I film matches on field side. And a lot of that I talk about in the Houston recap, obviously, or the Houston breakdown. And I may end up making it like a dedicated like camera work series next year when we're actually at events. I will see if I have time to film that. I will try my best. But yeah. So you can see here, like, once we start with game footage, it's literally just, okay, I'm going to pull all of my clips of us playing into our timeline, and then I'm just going to find, like, good moments, right? So here, you know, all of the moments where we're shooting, okay, I'm going to clip this, I'm going to put it in, I'm going to cut it to the beat. It's fairly simple, and then you just need to find good points where the song sort of changes vibes to either feature autonomous. In our case, we always feature at least one clip of autonomous. To feature alliance selection, if you guys get selected, obviously, so you know, always record alliance selection. I will set up my camera in the stands, so obviously you can't be field side when they're doing alliance selection. That would also, you know, it's kind of bad to do that, but you just kind of set it up in the stands and you point it towards whoever's currently selecting, and I record all of alliance selection every time I can. Obviously this time I only got first round in, but usually I record first round and second round, and then you can feature I can't speak. Oh my god. You can feature alliance selection during bridges or during, you know, build-ups, or, you know, you'll figure it out when the song changes vibes. And then after that, obviously, if you would like, you can also talk about your alliance numbers. And then usually at the end of a song, there's also good times to show photos. We usually like to show a couple of photos at the end of every recap, and that's generally the structure. It's very much a formula for us, especially with how fast we need to get production going. Houston was like the one recap where like we were like, okay, this one's going to be the crazy one. We don't have to worry about any competitions afterwards, so I'm going to spend like all of my production budget this year working on that video. And so that's the reason why we sort of talk about that a lot more with all of the CGI and the Blender crazy renders and stuff. But anyways, I hope this was like significantly more helpful from the technical side of things than the Houston breakdown. Obviously, that one was more of like a overview of our creative process. I hope this was a little bit better in terms of technical stuff. This one did not involve any After Effects work outside of this one tracking shot that I did before this production even started. Everything else here is done in Premiere. These are all hard cuts. I would have done a crazier graphic here, but I'm pretty sure I was rushing to get this video out, like I said. So, you know, that all kind of went out the window. It's just, okay, I'm going to do hard cuts. We're just going to show the numbers. But yeah, I will be back as soon as I can with the Bonnie Lake and the Auburn recap breakdowns. Those two might end up being grouped into one. Actually, no, they won't. There's a couple of cool things in either or in both of those that I want to talk about. But those will come out hopefully faster than the gap between Houston and DCMP. I'm working to really just like spit these out as fast as I can now. I'm trying to get these out before September. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful in many ways to you, and I will see you next time.
Hold still while I back that. Talk back till I snap back. This ain't brown, this that dark black. This that pitch black, jet black. Snap your ex, watch me give 'em